60% lighter, and I hit 375 psi, and the Big Daddy, there it is, folks. Here, one more time so you see there's no, here it is, look, that's 3 plate. That, the weight difference on this is staggering. 357 grams against my 136 grams. I'm 60% lighter. Look at it already coming back. Look, look, look. Oh, geez, I'm shaking. Let me split this out here. Follow the camera. So you see it? There it is, folks. I'm telling people, I'm working in my living room. You think I'm joking? I'm working in my living room. And that's what I'm trying to say to the industry. If it ever gets your way, folks, you ask any material scientist under the conditions I'm working. I'm telling you, it's Spock. Bear skins and stone knives. You put this in a lab, you put this under proper industrial, mechanized machinery where it's done uniform, and you're going to increase the strength and the properties of vulcanite H by at least 20%. Could you comprehend that? I mean, look what I just did. It's beyond comprehension. Look at people. Come on. Come on. This is not a joke. Look at it coming back. Look. That's one of the...
There's a specific video I'm hoping to find for the beginning of this one. You'll know it's there because it'll be what I'm referencing right now, but I'll explain the lead into it. So I've got some family coming down on the weekend coming up, and I'm pretty excited to see them. The point of all this, what I'm getting at, is I've been running like a Star Wars game recently, like a tabletop. I know how many people wondered how long it would be before we started doing Star Wars on this channel. Here's the day. Here we go. So I'm a huge Star Wars fan. I watched all those movies with my dad, who would have seen them in the 70s and the 80s and all that. But he was also a huge Star Trek fan. So it kind of got me thinking as I was sitting down to do this one. I don't want to ramble on this one because there's like 10 different threads I'm trying to connect here. So he was a huge Star Trek fan as well. We used to watch Star Trek all the time together, especially like the original one with James Kirk, and The Next Generation with Patrick Stewart. Now, before the end, when he was slightly less coherent, he would ramble. he would do these Star Trek references, which are up there on YouTube. I swear to God, we're going to find it. It's there. I'm going to find the clip. But he's speaking about vulcanite H, which those videos don't do it justice. That would have been incredible. My point is, in the middle of the video, he just starts going off about Star Trek and he's a doctor, god damn it, and stuff. Oh my God, talking about bones and Spock, and it's hilarious. Like, it's not funny, but it is. As a fan of the show and stuff, and my dad. It's just such an obscure reference during a product demo, if you could call it that. So we linked that back up to Star Wars and Star Trek, and my family coming down and trying to run a Star Wars game, which leads me into the next thread, which is writing. So of course, when you're running a tabletop RPG, depending on how hard you want to nerd out, you're going to write. Now, my father was a writer. I myself am a writer. Hopefully, Existere is, I have been in contact with them. Hopefully they're going to be running something on The Old Man soon as like a spotlight feature. He was published in that magazine, The Ranger Station. Check it out if you can. I myself am hoping to get in there. We'll see. More than likely it's a no. It is the literary world, and it's like a 99% failure rate, so shoot your shot and we'll see what happens. But with writing the Star Wars, writing the books, just sent mine in. Of course, I was just talking about Shards of Time and some of the writing that he did as well, and the obscure references. I definitely want to find that clip. I've been on a kick lately of trying to find all of his work. Of course, that's what I've been trying to do for months, but now more than ever, as I sit down to do these videos, I'm just like, man, there's so much footage that's out there that we need to reclaim, and so many obscure writings and references, and kind of just build, like, I feel as we do more of these, I really do believe it's going to grow. There's almost like a Troy Herchebys mythos, the iceberg, if you will, as you go deeper and deeper to some of the shows and the writings and everything that he was a part of, and even the silly references, to the point that I can be playing a Star Wars game, writing it completely unrelated, and think of my dad. And not even just Star Wars, but an obscure Star Trek reference. He used to do those Star Trek references all the time. 2014, 2015, we'd be building something in the lab. Oh man. And he'd be talking to like some investors, and he would always bring Star Trek up. I didn't even mean to talk about Star Trek on this one. I'm getting off course now. I'm getting off course. The whole point of this video is to just show that clip at this point. This is just 3 views on this one. Oh my goodness. Moving forward in 2025, this isn't a channel update or anything, but some of the things that I want to showcase, trying to get away from some of the more brooding elements of it. And we still haven't even discussed Mountain Man. I've been kind of waiting on that one. I've been trying to hold out. My friend and I have been in communication. I'm a best friend, because I want to do that one justice. But there's a lot that goes into the Mountain Man videos. I was going down the rabbit hole recently. And we're all over the place with this one. Good Lord, we started off Star Trek, Star Wars. Now we're going to snake oil. Always called my dad a snake oil salesman. I think it was actually my friend that said that. The funny thing about the snake oil salesman in him, some of the products worked, which added credibility to what he was doing. So I was on YouTube, and there's a video of him. He's at the university here when Peter Lynch and a few others did. They were showcasing Project Grizzly for a reason. They were able to get my dad there, and my dad went there, and they did some demonstration for a helmet that he was working on. It was a very long design, but it was a prototype. And of course, the old man, being the snake oil salesman that he is, essentially, showed it, displayed it as a working. I mean, it was working, but he was like, "This is it. It's always the final edition." It's like, dude, this isn't even off the production room floor. We haven't even tested it. But anyway, he does some testing on it, and it's awesome, and it works. The concept that he was trying, and there's just a comment in that video, and it was like something like, the snake oil salesman goes to the university. I don't know who that guy was, but that one killed me. That was hilarious, because we always called him that. Oh my god. I could never figure out why that showmanship or bravado or exaggeration made it into some of the things that he was doing. Because if you go to the Ripley's Believe It or Not video, I mean, he's holding a car up with makeup pads in the 90s with something that he's working on, just in the garage, in the lab. And then before that and after that, you've got wildly exaggerated numbers and dates and prototypes and stuff. I just could never understand the need to sell the wolf tickets, if you will. Now, we are wildly off course here, but we'll bring it back to Vulcanite H and Star Trek. The credibility of Vulcanite H was irrefutable to very few people. To us who had seen the footage, to catch anyone up, Vulcanite H was a next phase in the Achilles polymer solution, type of glue polymer substance that you could coat fabric in, specifically Kevlar, and then mold that Kevlar in any shape you want, and there you go. You got a bulletproof suit of armor. And we actually got some testing videos from that, and specifically with 9mm. I can't say anything else. I don't know if it was deflecting anything, but the 9mm rounds were bouncing off of it, which was incredible. I watched that footage. You'll never see that footage, so believe it if you want. But it was bouncing right off of it. off of specifically a shin pad, which couldn't have weighed more than 3 pounds, 4 pounds maybe. Not even. I mean, you're bouncing 9mm rounds at 20 feet. It was pretty incredible. So then we go back to some of the snake oil and inflated numbers and stuff like that. I never understood it. I got one more for you. Seeing as we're all over the place and we're doing that. There is a Discovery Channel episode, which I think you can actually find on YouTube right now. I do have that episode. And this, I believe, in the Fire Paste saga, Discovery Channel had come to North Bay once, and essentially, as the story goes, if I'm correct, Discovery Channel got a lot of hate for it because everybody believed it was fake. Fire Paste was doing some pretty incredible things with heat dispersion, in the sense that you could have a 3,000 degree blowtorch on a very thin piece, and there's no heat transfer, like minimal, like NASA level heat transfer, and for a fraction of the cost. But anyway, with the snake oil salesman, there's a scene where he was always pushing like it's biodegradable and it's this and it's that, it's a cure for all that ails you. And the showmanship, he puts a piece in his mouth, chews it up, and he spits it out, and he goes, it's non-hazardous, non-toxic, biodegradable, just wash it right off. And then in like the very next scene, they go in the lab and they're trying to discern what it's made out of, and they couldn't figure out everything in there. So I'm like, does this mean you made a new element, or the machine just couldn't pick it up? But anyway, the guy goes, it's got this, it's not boron or something, but he goes, it's got this chemical, which is actually pretty hazardous. They cut back to him putting it in his mouth. Oh man, it was one of the few times I thought that was funny because they edited that in. I thought it was pretty comedic, but that was the snake oil part of it, where it's like, I never understood it. You have an innovation that works, you don't need to talk it up more, it speaks for itself. But of course, pennies on the dollar, we can manufacture it by the this for the that, biodegradable, non-toxic, rinse it off, drop it on the houses, which actually leads into what's going on in Los Angeles right now. It is burning to the ground, if anyone is stuck around this long in the video, because we're all over the place today. Los Angeles is burning to the ground right now, and that was truly after the space shuttle disaster what he wanted Fire Paste to be used for. Now, we never got to that level, so I don't even know if this would have worked, but in that video on YouTube that you can find, he wanted it for fires. You could coat your home, and it would be expensive, but you would coat your home in Fire Paste. I don't know what that would look like, what that would cost, or again, if it even was possible. But we know that you could mold it and it would dry almost like a clay. So essentially the concept was you would spray this on your house, coat it in the Fire Paste, the fire would roll through, and Fire Paste couldn't catch on fire and heat couldn't pass through it. I don't know why, but again, you can look at that video. Heat did not pass through Fire Paste. So it hypothetically would have been able to stand in a fire like the one in Los Angeles for hours, hypothetically. Because again, we never got that far in testing. We only had small models, and it worked. So assuming the small model worked, you would have been able to coat a large portion of these homes in Fire Paste. Forest fire rolls through, it does nothing. Absolutely nothing. That's what it was for. It's wild. And then with Fire Paste, to sum that up and sum this video up, because we're all over the place, they discontinued one of the primary chemicals used in the Fire Paste. Now, at that time, because my father was not a scientist, it's like, I always said this to him, let's say there's 10 ingredients in the innovation. We'll use Fire Paste as this one. Maybe 5 of them aren't actually doing anything. Or out of those 5 ingredients, only a few actual chemicals in those ingredients are actually necessary. So when we weren't able to build Fire Paste anymore, it's like, what was the missing ingredient in that chemical that you needed? And I feel like that's a great loss to society. There's not many when it comes to my dad, but there were a few innovations that they don't have anything like that. Not that he was doing. People, like, there are similarities, especially now in 2025, but back when he was doing that in 2003, 2004, nothing like that existed. And if it did, it existed in a different, more refined, impossibly expensive version in a lab somewhere that they would have never used for the practical applications that he wanted to, which I find fascinating. So that's how we'll end this one. thoughts and prayers for everyone in Los Angeles, of course. It's not going to do a lot of good, but I see things like that, and again, following the last video, which was Shards of Time, you see disasters like this, and it's like in a different timeline, in a multiverse, maybe some of the products that he made would have actually made a difference and saved a lot of homes.